Hi, good morning. We've got Richard Hanlon here from Signia Wealth, I believe.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us. Just got a very interesting way of working with clients and got some very interesting discussion that we thought we wanted to share with everyone. Richard, do you want to just start just a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about Signia?
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me, Simon. Brief background on myself. I've worked in private banking and wealth management for the last 12 years. Throughout that time working with successful entrepreneurs by and large,
Yep.
and their families, advising them on their investment management needs. I spent 5 years working with Coots in London, and for the last 7 years I've been working with Signia Wealth.
Right. And the main difference between Signia Wealth, obviously not being a bank, and Coots and banks, you would say, in a sentence, what would that be?
Independence.
And that allows you to...
We don't have products to push,
Right.
Products to sell. So
Okay. So is it fair to say that you would just always tell people to be a bit wary when any institution is pushing their own products? Is that fair?
I think that's a fair assumption
Okay.
to make.
Just as a psychologist, just for a second, one of the things that I always talk about is having a dual relationship. So one of the problems I think within the financial industry that unfortunately has multiple times come home to roost over the last years is that if that you have your own agenda, let's say you want to try and push your own product, and at the same time you're saying that actually you care mostly about the client, just as a psychological position, that makes it impossible, because either you have to focus on the client and therefore not do what your boss says, which is push your own products, or you have to push your own products and not really care about the client. In actual fact, I had a friend of mine who actually got fired from a big bank because she wouldn't push a product. So I think that's really important what you're saying about Signia. As we were alluding to, G1s, they create the wealth. As a psychologist, I would say is that often G1s are very conflicted, and certainly the message they often give is very conflicted. On one hand, they want it all to be for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, they often, not all the time, but often have significant problems in relinquishing control, power, and the actual money to their kids.
No, definitely. But I think that's where it's important. And we have experience of working with these families. We're aware of some of the issues, but we're not experts, and that's where it's important to work with somebody like yourself. So we spend a lot of time with the advisors. But as you know, another pitfall can often be, the patriarch. G1 can bring in an independent set of eyes, if you like. But
Yeah.
if it's the family lawyer, if it's his accountant, it doesn't really serve the purpose. It needs to be somebody truly independent.
Yeah. What's always fascinating to me, and I've actually written about this from a neuroscience point of view, is that the actual psychology and the way that G1s, G2s and G3s approach the world is always very different. Do you see that in terms of when they come to you in terms of finance? Like you're talking about that, Signia creates individual bespoke products and, looks at what they want. Do you find that difference between G1, G2 and G3, that they want different things?
Definitely. Again, it's a bit of a cliche, but G1 tend to be older.
Yeah.
As I said, perhaps not financially sophisticated in terms of investment products, and they obviously know their business very well and have been very successful and have a certain
Would it be fair to say that a lot of G1s, and I'm always fascinated by this to see if my theories come out in practice, would a lot of G1s want investment that creates legacy and stability from the money they've made? Is that fair?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
G2 want to preserve and perhaps slightly grow that money. And do you find that G3s tend to be more risky and want to try and...
Exactly.
Is that right?
No, I think that's
if it's
absolutely
not,
right.
then
G3 tend to be younger, and as you said, obviously the environment we're in today, people have access to a lot more information than they did. They tend to be more investment savvy, if you can call it that, and have more of an appetite for risk. So they do tend to look for different things. But I think in general terms, yes, G1 has created the wealth. probably made a lot of sacrifices and had a difficult journey to get to where they've got to. G2 may have been on part of that journey. If it's the children, they may have seen sacrifices the parents have made. G3 often don't have any real appreciation of what it's taken to get to that stage.
And that would make sense psychologically, because as I try and point out to G1 and G2 family members, everyone needs to feel that they've achieved something themselves. People don't, and children, grandchildren don't just want to be objects for the greatness of the G1. They want, well, what about me? So, it's interesting that even on a financial level you can see that very clearly. How useful do you think it is to give G2s and G3s the family business or significant assets, rather than perhaps just giving them some seed capital and allowing them to succeed or fail on their own? Because, I mean, that's a question that I often get. I don't know, in your business, how do you experience that?
I think it's very important, if possible. So, I mean, if the family business still exists, and obviously if G2, more likely G3, want to be involved, because again, that's important. If everybody's different, and some may want to be involved, others might not. They can't be forced to sort of partake. But if they're willing, I think it's important that they do get exposure to the business.
Because I have a sneaking suspicion, and this might be a little bit of putting the cat amongst the pigeons, and might be lots of people disagree. My sneaking suspicion, I'd love to do some research on it, proper research at some point, which is actually families that do that, actually the children are more content, happier, feel better about themselves than the ones that just go into the family business to be stewards. Yes.
It also brings with it its other issues, because if none of the family are involved, ultimately you've got that succession issue. What happens to the business? Does it get sold? Does it get put in some kind of charitable foundation?